Hip-hop's a culture. It's based around DJing, rapping, graffiti, and breakdancing. But it's a way of life. It's a vibe.
It's a similar kind of rush that you have at a party, at a jam in a park under the stars, going out, sneaking into the yards, the idea of painting your name, and just the attitude that went behind a lot of it. You know, it's basically us against them.
Was truly a response to these kids being marginalized. This was their way of saying, we are not nobodies, we are somebody. So I'll put a giant burner on a train, and this train's gonna go all over the city. And that to me is what hip-hop is all about. It's really, look at me.
It's a matter of bombing, knowing that I can do it, you know. Every time I get in the train, almost every day I see my name. I say, yeah, you know what, I was there, I bombed it.
Should be cleaned, and the ones that are caught should be cleaned. They should clean it, the ones that they catch are doing that.
It gives a terrible impression of the city.
The response that I think a repeater, three-time repeater should get would be 5 days in jail.
As graffiti artists, we knew that we were like bandits. We were outlaws, the way we can steal into the subway system, do incredible works of art, and get out unscathed.
Is that an art form? I don't know. I'm not an art critic. But I can sure as hell tell you that that's a crime.
What'd you do last night? We did 2 whole cars. It was me, Dez, and Mean 3, right? And on the first car, in small letters, it said, all you see is, and then, you know, big block silver letters, it said, crime in the city.
The South Bronx that I knew was a very dangerous place. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you wasn't in a certain gang, or you hung out on the wrong street corner, I mean, anything could happen, you know what I'm saying?
Gang culture was strong in New York. It was violent, and it was dangerous.
I got into street gangs, the Black Spades, a lot of other groups I was in before I became a Spade, Power, Bronx, Savage No Man's.
Afrika Bambaataa, who was a gangster, might have been the first to realize how foolish it was to continue in this way.
Afrika Bambaataa is an MC, he is a DJ, he is a graph writer, he is a b-boy. But Afrika Bambaataa back in the days introduced the concept of peace, love, unity, and having fun.
It's the Bronx in the house! It's everybody in the house!
He pretty consciously tried to redirect the energy that had gone into gangsterism into hip-hop.
The Zulu Nation was an organization that Bambaataa put together, whose purpose was to put on these parties.
So instead of fighting each other with, you know, guns and knives and fists, your crew would battle this other crew, but you would do it with records, and you would do it on the mic, and you would do it by dancing.
When the breakbeat part of the record came on, guys would just drop to the floor and start doing these crazy moves. And it would almost seem like a fight had broken out. So people would gather around like they were watching a fight.
Who won the rocking contest? Dynamic Rockets. Hold it down. It was a tie. It was a tie.
Hip-hop has always been competitive, and it's always been about a battle. You know, whether you talk about graffiti, or you talk about b-boying or breakdancing, or you talk about rapping, or you talk about MCing, it's always I'm better than you.
Well, I'm the R. Ruby D. And you got a lot of nerve when you play against me. You know you're gonna get served.
Go crush, JDL. The Lords of Lords and Ruby D, my man. Your is on the boards.
I never heard 4 and 5 MCs with 2 DJs battling each other for supremacy. I was like, oh my God, what's going on here?
Well, I'm the M. Like all the pretty girls, I serve your monkey ass like Earl the Pearl.
Go crush. I'm not the Cass or GMC. I'm gonna stick it on the board, man. Can't you see?
Cold Crush was the whole manifestation of what hip-hop was about. It changed my life.
Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. We are the brothers known as the Cold Crush. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. We keep your arms in the air, your feet on the floor. Guaranteed to give you what you paid your money for, cause the Cold Crush brothers got right.
Just watching entertainers, period. You know how they deal with the audience and crowd. I learned a lot, just absorbed it all, and then, you know, hip-hop was my release for it.
And then I slipped away to make a phone call this very day. It was a move I regret, but it didn't know then, so I called me back.
It wasn't about the show and be happy. It was about making the dark, rough, violent, smoked out, reefer selling, gun selling party, making that feeling. But I never heard nothing like this before.
Oh yeah. To do the same thing if you was in my place, but if you spare my life, believe me, friend, you'll never see me around your door again.
Early hip-hop was a machine. It required DJs, it required dancers, it required rappers. When Sylvia Robinson went out and took the Sugar Hill Gang, which was really a Spice Girl rap group, a group that was made up of non-rappers, and said, you can make a record of this stuff. Kids weren't thinking about that. This was just something to have fun.
Rap on record was completely revolutionary, and it was something that had never really occurred to the folks who'd been in the game as rappers prior to that moment. It took Sylvia Robinson, who was an older woman and an entrepreneur and an artist in the rock and roll era, to make it happen.
I never knew anything about rap at that time, but my niece was giving a birthday party for me, and I saw this DJ playing music, and he was saying things to the kids, and they would answer him back. And I said, oh my God, that's a great idea. And I felt a spirit in me that said, you put a concept like that on record, and you'll go to the moon.
What she did was very, very ballsy. Not only did she conceive of making a rap record, but she also assembled her own rap group.
Just like I put the Moments together in the 70s, I put the Sugar Hill Gang together. Big Bag Hank, he was working at the pizza parlor.
Hank closed up the pizza shop and jumped in Miss Rob's car and started auditioning right there with flour all over him and everything. And then Master G was walking down the street. G gets in the car and starts auditioning.
In fact, they had their own names like Master G, Wonder Mike, but they didn't know each other.
She was, you know, gracious enough to say, okay, let me hear what you got. And I said, the hip, hop, the hibbit, the hibbit, hibbit, hibbit. And she said, what? And I started incorporating everything I saw, from the dog to the statue to the library books. And, and she said that was pretty cool, so that was kind of like the opening hook.
I said the hip, hop, the hibbit, the hibbit, to the hip, hip, hop, you don't stop the rocker to the bang, bang, nigga, say up, jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat.
I knew all crews, what they were doing, when they were doing it, and where they were doing it. But strangely enough, in 79, there was this record to the hip-hop, the hibbity beat. I'm like, well, hold up. Who are these people? Sylvia just got 3 people that she could mold together. Predates the boy band thing. Let me find 3 people that I could put together and start a group.
There was no Sugar Hill Gang. They had no history. They seemed like interlopers.
One person I know to be a bouncer, and some of the rhymes that he was saying, I heard from Cold Crush, Grandmaster Caz.
At the time, Rappers Delight came out, you know, a lot of hip-hop people were pretty salty about it because, you know, these guys weren't really a hip-hop group, and the rhymes came from Grandmaster Caz, and it was phony, in a sense.
Big Bang Hank from the Sugar Hill Gang. He got down with us as acting manager. He took a loan out from his parents to buy us a bigger set. He had to get a job in New Jersey to pay back the loan, so that's where the Sugar Hill people asked him to be down on this record they were doing. Personally, I was shocked because Hank is not an MC. You know, he was the manager, so I would figure that he would say, well, I'm not an MC, but I manage these guys that's on this tape, but whatever.
Kaz and the Cold Crush were sitting there wondering, well, why didn't they just come to us and make a record? Now, how come we're left out of it?
I figured if something comes out of it, I guess we're next. So he said, you know, I want to use some of your rhymes, and just threw a book on the table and said, whatever you want to use. You know, that turned out to be I'm the CASN, the OVAN.
I'm the CASN, the OVAN, the rest is FLY. You see, I go by the code of the doctor of the mix. And these reasons I'll tell you why.
Big Pancake starts his second verse like saying someone else's name. I'm pretty sure that Sylvia wasn't too threatened. It's not like he would go out and hire a high-powered lawyer.
I got bodyguards, I got 2 big guns, that definitely ain't the whack. I got a Lincoln Continental, man, a some new Cadillac.
You can talk all you want about how, oh man, I'm not with Rapper's Delight, that's not a cool record, but people were still playing it at the party and people were still dancing. I mean, that's something that hip-hop has always struggled with, but rappers have found that if you can make a popular record that makes people dance, that's most of the battle right there.
You cannot deny the fact that Sugar Hill Gang was the first big rap group, and if we don't get any respect from someone, screw them. We open the doors for a lot of people.
Do it, and I'm here, and I'm there. I'm Big Bang Hank, I'm everywhere.
It's All Like Crazy. It was a top 5 record all over Europe, also in the Far East. It was just this phenomenal thing.
When I heard Rapper's Delight, I was just in heaven, because you could understand all of the words that were being said, so it was very easy for me to catch on and rhyme along with it.
Say the hip-hop, the hip-hop.
There was something that connected that I could do that. That was a time when every kid had a rap with their name in it. You know, and everybody had one that started at the age of 1. I had just begun on my journey to the TOP, you know.
All I know is that this changed the game of hip-hop. This record just set the goal to a whole nother level now. It wasn't rule the Bronx or rule Manhattan or rule whatever. It was now, how soon can you make a record?
For more, log on to VH1.com to explore an interactive timeline of hip-hop history.